This broadcasting.
Hey, what channel is that game on right now?
NFL Network.
I think that the All-Star game is also on the NFL Network.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, Steve Spurrier was talking about Tennessee earlier.
Totally
During-
unprompted, I'm sure.
Oh, like for sure. During a post-game interview,
Didn't have to do with anything. He just was there.
he just
All right.
wanted to make fun of Tennessee.
Man, I'm about to have dual screens going on my computer here. One of them with the All-Star game and TNT. One of them on the NFL Network and the AAF. And I can't tell you how excited I am
You
about
are
this.
sport balling.
I am
Why?
sport balling so hard. Carly Rae Jepsen is singing the national anthem. I assume it's the Canadian national anthem because she's Canadian. I wouldn't know. I've got it on mute. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Probably-
You're right. You're right.
Probably
You're
better
right.
than Fergie.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, she's
I right?
she's a cute and talented little Canadian recording artist. Why wouldn't they get her to sing "O Canada" right
She
now?
kind of looks like
Talented.
Scarlett Johansson a little bit.
Okay, I'm not
Can you-
seeing it, but
You don't
we'll
see
accept it.
No.
This
Okay.
is running out the clock.
Now let's disagree with row time.
It is, yeah. This is running out the clock. We introduce to you now the official disagreeing with Roe Variety Hour.
I don't like this bit. I've had a tough week and I'm really sensitive right now.
Dang, I really don't know how you respond to that. Like,
You gotta disagree with me. That's the whole premise of that.
your
You
week
gotta-
wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
God,
there you go. There we go.
yeah.
Barely even worked.
Yeah, I bet you did. You're a counselor. You
Yeah.
don't do real work.
Therapists don't work. They just sit in a chair and listen to other folks whine for an hour.
I try to. I
Which is what
sit
you're
in a
about
chair
to
and
do now.
I
Yeah.
know. I try not to fart. That's the extent of my work.
I wish
dude.
I wish I got paid that much to try not to fart every day.
Bruh, trust me, it's pretty tough. Okay, like back
Trust
off.
me, I'm a professional.
I'm a professional non-farter, so you know.
Well, we got Anthony Hamilton singing the Star Spangled Banner here on the NBA All-Star Game, so that's
His suit looks amazing.
yeah, it's a good suit. It's a good suit. Anyway, I'm your host Joseph Craven, your close personal friend Joseph Craven. I just spit all over my microphone saying that. I got really into it. We got Roe Hunter, we got Keith Harkins, we've got friend of the program back again, Mr.
Guess who's
Ray
back?
Barnes.
Back
Woo, woo, woo.
again.
Back again.
Woo, woo, woo.
Great.
Ray is back.
Have a friend.
I cannot tell any
Yes.
friends.
Yes.
You guys are all the friends that I have in the world, and you already know. So, great. Thanks for joining us again to talk about the Alliance.
Thank you for having me. I am already a passionate, lifelong fan of the AAF.
Yes.
It's spectacular. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, we said often that we said often off the air that whenever the college football season ended, we were going to get really heavy into becoming an AAF podcast to try to become the official podcast of the AAF. I've been petitioning the league. I've been tweeting at them on the regular to try to say, hey guys, running out the clock has to be the official AAF podcast. And I have been watching just about all the games. I mean, there's only a handful of games every weekend, so it's not if you get the channels, it's kind of easy to watch them all. It's not like college football where there are a bazillion matchups going on at any given point. But I got to be honest, first impression here as we talk about the AAF before we get into looking at the league as a whole, looking at kind of the philosophy behind all of it, whatever it may be. Guys, first impression, I'm not going to lie to you. I have actually, like, completely unironically and non-comically been much more entertained by this than I actually thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, not even kidding. Like, I don't know. Am I alone in that, or are you guys with me?
No, I'm totally with you.
I mean, Gray,
I'm also with you.
Yeah, Gray, you and I have been talking about it, even though I just watched San Diego lob the worst interception I've ever seen in my life to Atlanta. As I was praising the league, it suddenly presents one of the worst plays I've ever seen. It looks like one of those plays in Madden where you hike the ball and you accidentally tap X immediately after hiking the ball, and your quarterback just lobs the ball towards nobody. That's
Press F to pay respects.
But like, Gray, what do you think? I mean, like on the entertainment factor, if you've got, between college football or NFL or even just like the quality of football, like where does it sit? Like, is it an enjoyable level of football, you think, so far?
I think so. Like you, I sort of thought that there was high potential for it to be sort of like a novelty thing, like opening weekend, people would tune in and, there were some, you could tell, lower level of skill last week. A lot of that is because the players have only been together with, the coaches for a month.
Yeah, I think it was 30 days before the season actually started, which is insane to me.
Yeah, it's wild. But going from, the first weekend to this weekend, things have gotten a little bit better. The defenses have been really good. The games are quick.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, downtime or unnecessary pauses or anything like that.
That's maybe my favorite thing about it so far.
Oh, man.
It's fantastic. The game earlier today, the San Antonio and who was it? Not Arizona. San Antonio and
Orlando.
Yeah.
This
it
fight,
was
Steve
super
Spurrier.
entertaining. That's right. It was so entertaining.
Who Keith was just talking about earlier. Steve Spurrier
came down to the last possession, and then we got old Steve Spurrier post game speech, dog in the Vols, and, which is classic.
I love it, dude. I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. What
what else is he gonna do?
Right. If there's anything that what is it? SB Nation always call it Hate Ass Spurrier, the recurring post on SB Nation. We just expect that out of old Steve, Stevie franchise, as I like to call him. I don't actually call him.
And having a hot mic on him throughout the game is the best idea that they could have come up with.
It's a requirement.
1000% agree. It's peak Steve Spurrier, and he's like peaking at age 94, however old he is. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm throwing shade.
He is a crisp 87 years old.
Yeah.
It's a crisp.
It ain't shade if it's accurate, y'all. It ain't bragging if you can do it. It ain't shade if it's accurate. That's the words I live by right there.
It's a good tattoo, dude. Get that in Chinese, bro.
Yeah. Whoa. It'll fit underneath my Thug Life tattoo above my belly button. We'll do we had done a little live stream Madden simulation and talked a little bit about AAF, I guess, a couple weeks ago when the season about to start. But we'll recap some of the stuff that we covered there. In particular, Keith, I mean, you were talking about some of the emphasis on being a players-oriented league and being them two things that I think are really good about it is that they're not trying to be a gimmick league like the old XFL was, and they're trying to be like a league that looks after its players, that takes care of its players. It's like run largely by former NFL players as well. How important do you think that is to have a player-centric league, knowing that I don't know, maybe there's been some issues or disagreements with like the multi-million-dollar nonprofit known as the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, going back real quick to the whole XFL thing, like,
yeah, let's absolutely. Hey, anytime any of you want to jump over and talk about the old XFL, you're welcome to.
It was a gimmick league from the get go. Like, it wasn't like they tried to be legitimate and then we're like, wow, we have no ratings, we have to find a way to salvage this, so let's take out personal fouls, let's have people run around before the play, and then let's have like little spy cameras in the cheerleaders' locker room for some reason. They pretty much started out with that like right away, and of course, like anything completely and utterly ridiculous, people lose interest after a couple of weeks because, like,
I don't know. Did we lose
is
Keith? Keith's back. Keith's back. Wow.
Okay, okay, there we go.
We lost Keith for just like one little sentence there.
I was in the future. I don't know what happened.
Who wins the AAF this year, Keith? Who wins it?
I mean, it was like 8:30, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why I went an hour into the future.
It's only an hour into the future. What a terrible superpower.
Yeah, that's
who's winning this Atlanta San Diego game then? That's
San Diego makes a daring comeback, down 45 points in the fourth quarter.
Epic.
But no, like honestly, if the CFL is still going strong now, I think that the AAF has a chance because the CFL is completely ridiculous and not real football. And the AAF is real football.
Yeah.
Just it's going to be really interesting to see if like how far on board the NFL gets into this and potentially tries to make it almost like a minor league or like a D league, like the NBA did or something.
Right.
And like back it and like get behind it as kind of a retirement for players that, couldn't cut it or like had their professional career cut short. But the focus on it at the outset of being a player-centric league and, like you said, not a quote-unquote nonprofit / completely for profit, no matter how many people they kill. NFL.
No matter how many wide receivers they have to sacrifice to the concussion gods.
Yeah, to the elder gods of football.
Hey, here's a question then, Ro, for you. Do you think it's important for the AAF? I keep wanting to accidentally say the AFL. Do you think it's important for the AAF to stay its own thing, like its own independent thing, or do you think it would be beneficial for them to become a sub level of the NFL to an extent? Kind of how we had like NFL Europe back in the day. Do you guys remember NFL Europe?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude.
To have the NFL maybe incorporate it as a bit of like a farm league, minor league type of thing, because we have practice squads in the NFL.
Yeah.
But the NFL, the only thing the NBA is developing the D League or G League, whatever now, into more of an actual development league. Obviously, baseball has had a farm system for forever. Like, should the NFL have that? Do you think it's important that the AAF stays separate?
I think it's important to stay separate because I think the NFL is at a disadvantage than other sports in that they have no system other than college football and to learn about themselves in the game. Right? Like, and a side note here, you keep trying to not say AAF. I keep trying not to say either AFI or AAR, which stands for All American Rejects, because I just think all the time. And so I'm really struggling with that aspect of the AAF.
The AARP over here that we're watching.
AARP, the double ARP. I think it's a good experiment to see. I mean, we've had. If we look back to even, we can go all the way back to our illustrious president Donald Trump's league that he was a part of.
Long may he reign.
Long may he reign.
Are the AAF refs wearing bullet vests over their shirts, or is that just how they're designed? What's happening?
No, they're bulletproof vests, dude. They have very dangerous.
Yeah. It depends on if the game is played in Atlanta or not. That's my answer.
Looks like it is.
But I think it's I think it's important for the NFL to learn. I mean, a couple of things that I notice about the very few games that I've watched, namely I've only watched one, but the very few games that I've watched, I love the fact there's no kickoffs. Mm-hmm. I think from a cost standpoint with kickoffs, I mean, think about this from from if you're a owner or in charge of finances or whatever, those kickoffs, you have to put players on the field, and you're not putting your best players out there on kickoffs. You have your one return guy and some other players that kind of like maybe are backups. Maybe, I mean, very rarely do you have like the special teams pro that lasts for forever, I guess. But I think eliminating just that aspect of the game is awesome. I mean, like there's no noticeable difference whatsoever
and
about
it's a
the flow of
safety
the game.
thing because like
And
kickoffs and like punt returns, stuff like that is how you get those crackback blocks really bad, and like that's how people get hurt. And so
that's how people get really hurt. And it's like nobody really wants to watch football to see people get hurt, except for that
people,
that Twitter guy
people
that
go
I
to the
found
bathroom during kickoffs.
And no, I was going to say the other thing that I really think the NFL or maybe even the networks should learn from is a couple of things about like the booth review audio. Like I genuinely like hearing the referees during the play, during the reviews, because there's so much conspiracy theorists out here like myself when I'm watching. Yeah, and Joseph as well. When I'm watching, doesn't matter what sport it is, they're looking at this little monitor, and you like clearly what I see on TV is different what they're looking at on their little monitor, and it's like, guys, like what are we doing? Like why just let us listen in on it. I love the transparency aspect of it, and so I think the league, like as far as the NFL, I think they need to have this league, or at least I don't want to say promote it maybe, but almost just like. If they want the NFL to continue to grow and do all that kind of stuff, I think the NFL lost a lot of credibility these last couple of years with how they've handled Colin Kaepernick, basically, and the whole kneeling thing. I think that's a very big issue for everyone. It's bigger than what most people would probably, on both sides of it, would probably willing to talk about, or at least talk about publicly. Anyways.
There was that, and then there was the whole... like Ray Rice uppercutting
that's right.
his wife and getting like a game, and then somebody took like some souped up aspirin and got like a year or something.
Yeah,
or,
you're right.
Like
you're trying to talk about Will Greer again, I think. Right there.
Yeah. Listen here, the NCAA is out to get Florida, right? No, but like there's just a lot of consistency issues with the NFL, and
and like how great is it to that point, Keith? Like how great is it to listen? I mean, like to listen to guys like Spurrier when he's like radioing the offensive coordinator or the quarterback or whoever he's radioing, and he says, "Tell him to catch it this time." Like that was one of my favorite things.
Like you always wonder what coaches say, like their quarterbacks, and then you find out and it's like Spurrier just being Spurrier.
Right. He's on like the headset to his assistant coach, and he's going, "Man, hey, Tennessee, I just don't. You know what? I'm not about Tennessee. You know." He's just talking to me even there.
He's over there ordering Taco Bell for halftime.
Hey, this is the Bob coach. Hey, this is the old Bob coach. Hey, you want to get some Domino's? Bring it out to the sidelines over here.
They're giving us that live audio, and then I think what that would do, because one of my biggest pet peeves about watching anything, whether it be basketball or baseball or football, is the immediate post-game analysis of the player or the coach. They want to hear the coach's opinion on those things, and it's just dumb. It's this. Nobody says anything differently. Right. Like as far as a story, it's a better story to have the audio during the live game, because you as the viewer, you don't have to. There doesn't have to be a commentator. There's not like you can have your own opinion about how they handled it. I don't need some girl or some guy or whomever, or even Tony Romo for all people telling me exactly what's going on. However, though, I do like Tony Romo.
Yeah, Tony Romo's magic. So
I gotta walk back from that one.
Does he have a podcast? He better.
He should. We need to reach out. Let's reach out and
let's get Tony Romo on running.
Let's have him on the show. Yeah.
Let's have him on the show. He's like a nice enough guy where he'd just be like, okay, sure, let's do it.
Yeah,
also,
sure.
Bold move by the Atlanta team to basically, adopt the Latin Kings as their mascots.
Yeah.
Kate and I were actually just talking about that the other day. Just like, what are the Latin Kings? What colors do they rep? And I was like,
Those.
I'm pretty sure it's just those. I think Atlanta probably has the best logo of all the teams.
Yeah, I would
yeah.
In the AAF.
The Burger King crown.
The Burger King crown. I'm a big fan.
If y'all have not looked up gone on the AAF online store, the Atlanta Legends starter track jacket is unbelievably awesome.
Oh my God, I'm going right now. Atlanta Legends. Typing it in right now on my computer.
It is raining so hard there right now.
Yeah, it's coming down in San Diego.
Don't make me buy this right now. I don't want to spend this money. Damn it, I'm going to spend the money. Oh my God, it's awesome.
Official Patreon of the Atlanta Legends.
I'm going to have to buy this. Sorry,
You're going to have to. It's so clean. I don't even want to support the Legends, but it's such a clean looking jacket. I want to get it.
It looks good, dude. I definitely wore that thing.
Life.
I know I wore a Florida State one of these when I was probably
starter
11 maybe or 10. I don't remember.
Freaking starter jackets. Hey, let's continue a little bit on that train of thought that Roe brought up there with like no kickoffs and everything. Gray, what do you think that the AAF is not a gimmick-based league? It is legitimate football. It is trying to be a place for players that were like just a hair under NFL caliber, or whatever it may be, or maybe had, in the case of like Trent Richardson, a guy that kind of just flamed out and he's looking for a redemption to the career, that sort of thing. It's a place for, which is one of the things I love about it, is that it's a place for all these players who their entire life has been football, from youth camps to, middle school, high school, on through college. This is what they've been preparing for, to have it fizzle, to have an opportunity to make a good living with health insurance. All of that is what the AAF's based around. It's not based around gimmicks, but they do have a few experimental rules in there, which I think are cool, such as the lack of kickoffs, because at this point, maybe that's kind of an outdated type of thing to have all the time. They force teams to go for two every time. And then, as you mentioned earlier, just our favorite thing of some of the play clock rules, and also the fact that commercial breaks happen in the game. So
in the game, Oh, that's wonderful. It makes the game so much quicker too.
Yeah, it does. The pace is good. Anyway, those are the few things, Gray, that we do see happening in the AAF. What's your take on those?
Yeah, like I don't view them as differences necessarily from NFL or NCAA rules. I think they're innovative. I think they're innovations to rules that currently exist in the NFL. Obviously, like I already said, the concussion stuff and the risk of injury, and they're cutting out the the wedge blocks for kickoffs, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. They've essentially eliminated it from the sport. And there's not a single thing in the AAF so far that I've looked at and said, man, I really wish that this new rule or a different way of doing things, I wish they did it a little bit differently. All of them I've been a fan of. The people that I've watched the games with, they've been like, man, I really wish that they would bring that to college football or to the NFL. There's really not anything that is a negative in those aspects. I found it kind of interesting last week when I was watching. They showed the graphic of the changes. The differences between the AAF rules and NFL rules, and then they said, "Oh man, well, I don't know if we're going to get into an overtime game today, but we'll have to go over those when they happen." I'm really curious to see what the overtime rules are for the AAF because they never showed it, but they insinuated that that overtime rules are different. Maybe it's a battle royale system or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, that would be amazing, dude. I'm having so many creative
Everyone
thoughts
plays
right
Fortnite.
now.
Yeah, they play Apex Legends. That's all it is. It's just they hop in there. I'm gonna look it up. All right, one round of here it is. It sounds like from this quick read through I'm going right now, it's like halfway between NFL and college. 1 round of first and goal opportunities from the 10. Each team gets a crack at scoring a touchdown. No field goals are permitted.
Heck yeah.
And as it is with all AAF touchdowns, teams scoring a touchdown can try a 2-point conversion only. If both teams fail to score a touchdown, then it is a tie.
Interesting.
So each team gets a chance to score a touchdown. So it's like college in that teams will get a first and goal opportunity. Well, I guess that's not really like college because college is like from the 25. So this is a little bit more, it's a little bit closer in from college, but it's set up in the same way where you just have the ball and you go for it. But if you and the other team fail to score a touchdown, that's it. Again, it's going to be much shorter games is basically it. So there you go.
The San Diego quarterback just bobbled the snap and then turned into a baby giraffe and picked up a first down.
I saw that.
See? Innovation.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
what we're talking about.
Innovation. So hearing that then, do those overtime rules appeal to you guys? Just kind of hearing the fact that they're just kind of short.
I mean, I was getting sold on the idea of a battle royale, so it's a little bit of a letdown. But yeah, it does. I mean, I like it. I guess just really wanted that battle royale. Maybe have the 2 coaches on horseback and joust at the end. That would be pretty.
Oh
cool
man,
too.
I think that's the best possible scenario.
Yeah, I mean that's the only logical one. You know,
I'm not a huge fan of ties, so I would like to see them do something like you've got 4 downs to score a touchdown from the 10-yard line.
Yeah,
and if you make it. And the other team makes it, then you back it up to the 15, same thing. You back it up to the 20 and just sort of kind of keep going back until, something. I don't know. But forcing them into a winning situation is always beneficial to me, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be one of those things that they get done with and are like, okay. Because you would think that you wouldn't have the college style situation where you have like a 12 overtime game because both teams keep
LSU and Texas A&M.
Yeah, you wouldn't have that. Yeah, you just wouldn't have that nonsense. You wouldn't have that if teams are being forced to go for 2 every time anyway.
Right.
Most likely, but I guess there's always the chance of that. So just so you know, San Diego's quarterback is Philip Nelson, who I'm trying to look up his biography right now to find out where he's from, and it is chaos. He went to Minnesota for like 2 years, was trying to redshirt, but they pulled his red shirt because their starting quarterback got injured, and then he decided to transfer to Rutgers, and then he was like kicked off of Rutgers, and then he walked on at East Carolina and finished up at East Carolina apparently. So
well, that's different.
Yeah.
That's one way to play college football.
Weird career for him.
All roads lead to the AAF. So
yeah.
Amen, dude.
We should have been in the AAF.
we could. There's still eligibility for all of us right now.
They had tryouts.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
They did. It was like $125.
Yeah, I'm not losing $125.
Yeah, but you
small
could
pie
gain
stuff.
a 3-year, $225K contract guaranteed.
So what? I can be a terrible, the world's worst wide receiver.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. They also have some rules in there, if I remember correctly, where you have like a full 53-man roster, but only like 40-something players are eligible for each game or something like that. I'm trying to remember what that one is. I should have looked that one up before I brought it up. Whoops. Oh well. All right, let's talk a little bit about the season so far. Right now, we've got a battle going on that we're recording while watching, and the Atlanta Legends and the San Diego Fleet, 2 teams that both lost in the opening week of the season.
Fleet.
Yeah, the Fleet. San Diego
on fleek.
And so 2 teams that lost in the beginning of the season. We've had some matchups of teams that have won at the beginning of the season, all of that. So right now, let's talk about the season as a whole. Right now, we've got, what is it? Both Birmingham and Orlando have won their opening games, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona.
And Arizona. So we got 3 teams so far in the AAF that have won both of their games, as we're now joined by Chandelier Brown Belongs, who has jumped into the podcast. Good to see you, Chandelier.
As soon as that happened, Bo knocked the ukulele off of the chair, and
I'm sure it was Bo who did it.
He got scared, and it didn't. That was weird.
That
Hello,
is,
everyone.
That is Chandler's new WWE entrance song.
Yep, it's the sound of a ukulele falling off a chair. I'm in.
When the ukulele falls, I'm coming for your balls. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just gonna quit now. I don't.
Welcome
whatever.
to the and that was Chandler rolling, everybody.
This is an important question then. All right, with a slogan like that, does that make you a good guy? What is it? A face? Is that what it is? A good guy in wrestling is a face?
Yeah, I think that's
a
definitely
face or a heel.
I think that's definitely a heel.
Okay.
It's mostly the heels that get the genitalia jokes in wrestling these days. So.
I just needed to know. Real quick. Just needed to know. Well, okay. Go back to the season so far. I don't know how much of
great transition.
Yes, going back to it. I got distracted by this ukulele that supposedly Chandler's dog knocked over. I'm still not buying it. But
that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So a few teams. We got 3 teams that have won both of their matchups so far on the young season. But if you look at all that, I mean, does anyone, if you just had to guess, because what is it? Arizona was like the early favorites. I mean, do those teams you assume stand out as the favorites here? I mean, if you're looking top about, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this over to Chandler, actually, since he just blindly jumped in knowing nothing that we've talked about so far. I'm going to throw it over there. Chandler, who's your favorite to win the AAF inaugural season?
Look, it's got to be Arizona, right? Because Arizona is facing unprecedented adversity from losing their great offensive mind of an offensive coordinator. Because if you remember, one Hugh Freeze was slated to be escorting his offense to scoring lots of points here in the AAF, and he finished early in his AAF career and ended up at Liberty, and yet they're still winning. So it's got to be Arizona.
I mean,
right?
Clearly he's had a momentous impact on the Arizona franchise so far.
Oh yeah,
he left a lasting legacy for the franchise.
It's something I think that he could be proud of.
I think if you went back and checked his call log, you would see that he made a lot of great decisions for leaving the program for a happy ending with his tenure. So,
All right, I've muted Chandler.
Oh man, I've missed that mute button.
I've said so many things in that discussion that one got the muting. Come on.
Oh, look, Chandler, it's not about the happy ending. It's about what you do between the beginning and the end. It's the process of the whole.
Yeah, no, Ro also muted.
Maybe the happy ending is just the friends you make along the way.
maybe Oh my god. Yeah, so Aaron.
I'm so sorry.
No, I love it. If you can't have fun in the AAF, then go to the no fun league itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about fun.
Yeah. That's exactly
there you go. Gray's already justifying that ROTC paycheck he's getting. So
yep. And believe me when I say, guys, the fee that we have to pay to get Gray on the podcast is much more than I want to publicly admit. So
man,
let's just say he would have taken a pay cut if he had been playing in the AAF. I mean, they get paid $75,000 a year. That's
the joke.
That was the joke. That's what I was getting at. That was the joke. That was the joke. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run down the line, and I want to hear everyone's team allegiance to the AAF. Because we're going to be incredibly biased on this podcast. On this, in our battle to become the podcast destination for everything AAF, the official podcast of the AAF. We're going to be as biased as possible. And I want to hear everybody's allegiance that they're picking here. And we're going to go, I guess, in the normal order here. We'll go Chandler, Keith, then Roe, and then we'll wrap it up with our special guest, Gray Barnes. Chandler, who are you picking in the AF to throw your support to, and why?
This is actually tough because in body, I should be a Birmingham Iron fan.
Sure.
But in spirit, I should be a Memphis Express fan, just due to the number of former Ole Miss players that are on that roster, the proximity of Memphis to Oxford. But you know what? Because they apparently suck. The Memphis Express, that is. I'm going with Birmingham. Iron all the way, baby. Steel City, let's do it.
We should 100% go to a Memphis game.
We got Vulcan looking over the city and over our team, so let's do it.
There you go.
Go Oregon. I mean, Oregon, Iron.
Wow. Go Ducks. Go Ducks. All right.
And I would also just like to point out that I have known Birmingham Iron fan Wayne Ingram on my side on this one. So Wayne, friend of the pod. Big shout out there.
Keith, are you throwing your allegiance to the fighting Steve Spurriers down there in Orlando?
Absolutely. There's no even question about it. I mean, you got the old ball coach himself as the head coach. You got his son, Scott, coaching the tight ends. And of course, you got Florida Gator legend Lito Shepherd coaching the safeties.
Ooh, I did not know that. That's really cool.
I know exactly who that is.
Oh, yeah. He's Florida legend Lito Shepherd.
He played primarily for the Eagles in the pros, didn't he?
The Jets and the Eagles, yeah.
Jets. God, what? Never mind. He's not the guy that I thought he was.
Quarterbacked maybe eventually by Florida legend Austin Appleby.
Nice. Oh, no. Lito Shepherd was Jets and Raiders? No, he played for the Eagles, yeah. Why did it just show the Raiders there? Weird. He played for the Eagles from 02 to 08 and then went to the Jets in 09. So anyway, there we go. Strange. Okay. Was that it, Keith? I'm sorry. I cut you off entirely.
That's it.
I got really excited about remembering who Lito Shepherd actually was because I think I used him on some iteration of Madden years ago. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, whatever. Sorry about that, Keith. Ro, how about you? I mean, are you throwing – I know we were just talking about the starter jacket earlier. Are you going all in on your hometown Atlanta Legends?
The problem with this decision that I made about 30 minutes ago of buying that starter jacket kind of limits me in my ability to support other teams. So also, I'm going to go with Atlanta because I was raised there, and my favorite player or my favorite named player. See, I don't pick players. I do this in college too. I don't pick players who they pick me, and it's usually a good name, right? Like my favorite player last
election for football.
Yeah, I seriously, that's how I vote for my. When I have options, when I go to the voting booth, I don't look at what they stand for. I look at the flair of the name. So that's kind of how I pick things. And so my favorite name, much like Greedy Williams of LSU last year, which is my favorite name, on Atlanta, the kicker's name is, I kid you not, Young Ho Koo.
Yeah.
All right. I love this name so much for a variety of different reasons because I feel like it really represents many of the things that I value in Atlanta, mostly because it's a legendary name, hence the team name Atlanta Legends. I also like Denard Shoeless Robinson. Isn't that what we called him?
Yeah.
Shoelace?
Yeah.
Shoelace.
Yeah.
Shoelace.
Yeah.
He's the running back for Atlanta. famous,
I didn't realize he was playing there.
yeah, famous Michigan quarterback who was my cheat code in all of NCAA football when that game used to exist. So
Yep. May it rest in peace.
yeah. So and then there's also Aaron Murray from UGA. So
Yep. Georgia legend. Aaron.
Georgia. Yeah. Aaron.
And you get the sheer privilege of every time he throws an interception going, "You done messed up, Aaron."
Aaron, you done messed up, Aaron. So yeah, I'm sticking to my tried and true purple and gold, maybe.
Yeah, it's purple and gold.
Classic Atlanta colors.
Classic Atlanta colors. And I also spent $159 on a starter jacket, so I also have to justify that to my wife in about 20 minutes. So we'll see how that goes.
Wait, you bought an actual AAF starter jacket?
Well, it's Gray's fault. He told me it was dope.
Taylor, you've got to look it up, man.
I look it up, dude.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. I was like, there's no way it's that cool. And then I looked it up, and it was that cool.
It is.
Do you just Google AAF starter jacket? What do you do?
AAF Team Store, Google.
So now Rose is starting safety for the Atlanta Legends.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out with Young Ho. Y'all can come with me. So,
I do want to point out though, we were just talking about Aaron. You can actually cheer for the Birmingham Iron and do the same thing because he's not the starter, but former Alabama quarterback Balake Sims is there. And
Balake.
Balake.
You mean
Balake?
You mean national champion Blake Sims?
Wait a minute. Speaking of Sims, did I mention the backup quarterback's name? It's a guy named Matt Sims from the University of Tennessee. Ever heard of him?
He's actually playing right now tonight. I think Murray must be hurt or something. I saw Sims out there.
Okay,
I will address this.
I have seen the starter jacket, and yes, I agree.
It's dope.
That is awesome.
It's so dope.
It looks like Alcorn State swag.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I'm getting it, dude. I'm totally getting it.
They have onesies too.
Gray, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say for my allegiance, I'm going to have to be an Atlanta Legends fan too.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. We legendary in this.
It's not just because of the product on the field. There's so much that surrounds this team that brings entertainment value beyond the game itself. So, like Rose mentioned, we got Young Hoku. We have drama. We got Twitter drama.
Oh, we got Twitter drama? Tell us about it.
All right. So, being in the area, I'm around a lot of UGA folks, right?
Sure.
So they're all, wanting to see Aaron Murray succeed in the AAF. He did not get the start last week. He did not get the start this week. So Twitter is blazing with some comments towards the Atlanta Legends coaching staff right now. Did someone say coaching staff? Yeah, let me address that as well. So
he just set himself up. My God.
Yeah, this is why I have that fee that I require. So 3 weeks before the season started, which would equal to 1 week into the coaches and players being together.
Right.
Offensive coordinator Michael Vick left the team.
What? Michael Vick was on this team? Oh.
Yeah, he was the OC. It would conflict with his analyst responsibilities. So he had to leave.
Analyst responsibilities for what?
He's
be the analyst for the Atlanta Legend.
He has a radio on the sideline.
He works for CBS, dude. While he's also like coaching.
He's running his own Atlanta Legends podcast over there.
He's just
and we're going live to the sideline from a totally different game. Michael Vick, what do you see in this game? Oh my dang offensive line ain't blocking, cock.
So along with Michael Vick leaving the team the day before the season opener, the head coach resigned. So that might show that might have showed in the performance from the Legends last week. That was pretty flat.
They gonna recover though. They gonna recover.
Yeah, they're doing not so shabby right now, up 9-3. So yeah, the product on the field is part of it, but everything else from the starter jacket swag to all of the coaching staff stuff to the quarterback controversy, there's just entertainment value everywhere. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to go with that. I also last week, the one pass attempt that Aaron Murray had waning in the fourth quarter was in fact an interception. So
legendary, bro. Legendary. That's our cheer. Legendary.
Maurice Jones-Drew is actually calling this game.
I was just about to point that out, Keith. That's really
awesome.
cool. Maurice Jones-Drew is out there in the broadcast booth.
And 98-year head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals is also
Steve Spurrier?
Yeah.
We have already established Steve Spurrier's age on this podcast. So,
all right, what's
Chris 86?
What is your allegiance, Joseph? Where are you falling in line?
It was a tough decision as well. As Chandler was referencing earlier, we were kind of stuck in between as I'm sitting here in Jackson, Mississippi, geographically speaking, stuck in between some options. And it was a difficult one to pick for me, but I have to go Birmingham as well. It was hard for me primarily because there is nothing about Memphis sports teams or anything in the state of Alabama that I ever want to support. And so it was hard to choose between. Those are the two factors that made it difficult to choose between the Express and the Iron. But I gotta go Iron. A couple of reasons. There's 4 different former Mississippi State Bulldogs on the roster of the Birmingham Iron. So, easy to choose that right there. But also, I've always been a bit of a sucker for that black and silver color scheme. Mm-hmm. Like the Raiders have all. I've always been a sucker for that. So I couldn't turn down the opportunity to finally have a color scheme for a team that I support as well. Which, by the way, guys, I just want to point this out, but March 31st, Atlanta at Birmingham. Are we all going? I think we're all going.
I'm there.
Definitely.
I mean, let's do it. Pick me up on the way.
Yeah. I'm in. I will absolutely do it. Boom.
Where do they play their games?
Birmingham, they play at Legion Field.
Oh, good. So we'll also die.
I was under the impression that it was on that mountain, the Vulcan mountain. They play on an incline,
So great story about Legion Field.
We'll hear it first, and then we'll judge whether it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
So when Ole Miss played against Pitt in the now vacated BBVA Compass Bowl.
Never heard of
it. It was vacated. It didn't
happen. Yeah, it doesn't exist. We can't talk about
it. We went to the game, and what would have been a game? It's weird. I had these memories, but I was told that it officially didn't happen.
What might have been a game?
Some Arizona offensive coordinator. I don't know. It was weird. Like you pull up, and the stadium is just like in the middle of a neighborhood. There's houses just around it. There's no like parking structures. So we paid like $40 to just park in somebody's front yard, and it's like I don't know if these people are authorized to take our money or if our car's even going to be here. But yeah, we just gave them $40 to park in their front yard.
So, dude, that's awesome. That was like the old Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta before they blew it up. You'd go down there and they didn't know parking lot. You just park in people's driveways. It was the
Birmingham's
weirdest thing.
A weird city.
Yeah, it is. They have a Hattie B's though, so I'll let it slide.
True. It's like part like upscale, like nice, and then it's just like downtown, like warehouses.
Also Top Golf.
Oh,
they have a Top Golf?
Yeah.
Here's what we'll do. On our way to Birmingham, we'll stop and pick you up, and then when we get to Birmingham, we'll play Top Golf before or after this game.
Daring. Forget the game. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna swing through, pick up Chandler, eat some ribs, make it to Birmingham, play Top Golf. We'll just make a whole weekend out of it.
Yeah,
I feel like you should save room for hot chicken, but
We'll do that the next day. We'll go pick you up the day before. We'll hang out overnight and then go and have a massive tailgate by ourselves.
In somebody's front yard.
In somebody's front yard.
Yes. I love this. This is a great plan.
Perfect. So if you're listening to this and you are the official AAF fans podcast, and you want to join us for the running up the clock tailgate party in Birmingham on March 31st, book your tickets to fly into town, I guess. I don't really know what you'd be.
Or you could just give me $50 and I'll serve the spot.
We'll save you a seat.
I think
it's got to be general admission, right?
We might be underestimating the tailgating capabilities of AAF games in San Antonio tonight. There was a loud, raucous crowd there.
There was. And San Antonio plays in the Alamodome, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to hear.
They play in the Alamo.
They play in the Alamo itself. They're sitting there right next to all the display cases. With,
they shouldn't have ever forgotten it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They wanted it.
They were told to remember it. And
did we double book this place? I don't recall.
Innovation.
We are so good at podcasts.
It's really good. I like it.
Well, considering I think Gray and I are the only ones that have actually watched any of the AAF so far.
I'm watching a game
currently
right
watching
now.
a game.
Yeah.
I watched the one.
I'm going to be completely honest though. They're like I'm watching it on the AAF's website and they don't have the score up. I don't know which two teams are playing. I don't have any idea. I don't know how much time is left. What quarter's in. I know nothing other than they're playing a game.
The AAF hasn't exactly gotten to the point of hiring a graphic designer to put an overlay on the screen. So, baby steps, man. It's
like
just year one.
It's like those local high school broadcasts where, like, during timeouts they just show the scoreboard.
Where it's closed circuit.
I love it.
And now, Deborah with the weather. Hello, Deborah. That's what I imagine a high school broadcast is. I don't really listen to that much high school football.
I've run a camera for the broadcast of the school I work at a couple of times, and one of the games I did it, they do have a student that is like the sideline reporter, and she does a really good job with it. But I was never really able to interview her at any point when I was running the sideline cameras because in one game it was such a blowout that no one wanted to talk about. It just wasn't. They were just like, we don't need to do anything. No one's watching anime. And then the other one, her brother, who was on the team, got injured on the first play of the game. And so she was hanging out with him the whole rest of the game. So I was like, all right, well.
High school sports.
High school sports, man.
Later in that game, I think you got, like, bulldozed.
Yes, later in that second game.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. You got trucked, bro.
Destroyed by
dude.
Yeah. I had
violent form tackle, dude.
Well, it was definitely not a form tackle. That was the issue. The guy was stepping out of bounds, and the other player decided that would be the prime opportunity to violently shove him into me, and it was as a blatant late hit, and they threw a flag on him, and the other team got 15 more yards and a touchdown out of the deal. So.
Tomato, bro. You sound like a snowflake. What's up?
You're right.
What's up?
No, trust me. I took a shot in the game and jumped straight back up, and the medical staff had to come look at the player.
Dude.
So there's this camera footage for like another angle of me like lording over this high school football player, like, you go get up.
You go get up, boy. Come on, boy. Get up.
It wasn't a good look for me, I'll be honest with you.
Is it halftime in
the
this
whole
game?
like throat slashing gesture?
Since this is an actual commercial break, yes, it is halftime because the AAF does not do commercial breaks like a baller league.
That's the thing about the AAF though. Like, for serious, since this has just devolved into chaos.
Devolved? You weren't here for the beginning of the show.
That's true. The things that they do right, they do really right. I mean,
a lot.
The not doing commercial breaks, the doing like the live look at the replay official, like those things I think are things that the NFL needs to pay very close attention to.
Yeah.
And the NFL still, I think the NFL still does a pretty good job with games not getting too crazy long, but like college football for sure.
Oh my gosh!
That's a good point. We didn't talk about that.
That's the advantage of watching an NFL game and watching an AAF game over even watching college football is that, if you sit down for like the 5 o'clock time slot for a college football game, you're not out of there till 10 o'clock. And that's assuming you're just watching it at home. Like you're not even like going to the game. If you, from Jackson to Oxford or Starkville, 2.5 hours or so, then you've got to, it's everything just takes forever. But this, to be able to kind of do this and cut out all the kind of superfluous extra stuff.
All that extra.
That's a big plus. And, I think that's a good thing to have going for you.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that like non-football fans hate the most about football is the fact that it's like you can't get out of a football game in less than 3 hours. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even 3 hours of nonstop action. It's like something happens and then
there's 10 seconds here and then 10 minutes later, 10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, some of that comes down to the way that the clock is managed. In college, you get a first down, the clock stops till the ball's set, all of that. It's not the same in the NFL or even the AAF. The AAF even has like the ball starts like running faster than it does in the NFL. So it's a good time management's good. Where it maybe will come back to bite a little bit is like scoring itself. Obviously week 1, you didn't have a lot of high scoring games. But most of that came down to the fact that the teams have only been together for 30 days. You've seen a lot more efficient offense so far in week 2 as players have gotten more comfortable with each other, especially quarterbacks have gotten more comfortable out there on the field. But I do wonder moving forward, and that's something I want to keep an eye on, is what the product is going to look like at the end of the season, and whether the watchability in terms of time constraints goes is enough to outweigh maybe some of the offensive struggles that might happen on account of the fact that the play just kind of goes like that. You know what I mean? That might be something that doesn't matter at all, but we'll find out, I guess, as the season goes on. Yeah, all right. I hate to do this as Chandler had to step out of the room, but I believe that should wrap up pretty much this little recording session here. But we'll go around to get a little closing thoughts from everyone here about the first couple of weeks of the AAF season, but also just like the quality of football that's on the field. I mean, have you been pleased with it as a whole? I know, Gray, you already talked a little bit about that, but I mean, what are you looking forward to with the rest of this AAF season? And until we get back on the Alliance podcast train this time next week, what are your thoughts, Gray? What are you looking forward to moving ahead?
I think the thing that I'm looking forward to most is just finding out what the identities of these teams are.
Well, it says it on their jersey.
It's true.
I mean, they've got names there. You could Google them if you want, even.
Yeah, there's only 8. I think I could just think of them off the top of my head. But like so far, like Birmingham, for example, they play really tough, solid, aggressive defense.
Yeah.
It seems like Arizona and Orlando have high-powered offenses with,
Spurrier being Spurrier.
Exactly.
The old ball coach.
I think just looking forward and finding out what each team, what their identity is, and looking at matchups and potential outcomes of those before the games start, comparing and contrasting, the skills of these different teams, and heading later on into the season, kind of what we can, predict for playoffs and that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I'm talking about playoffs.
Talking about the playoffs.
Playoffs?
How about you, Keith? I mean, looking at the league right now and I mean, moving forward as the league goes on, but as the season goes on, but also looking at just, the fact that we have not a semi-pro league, like a little independent football league that's actually got like TV deals and stuff going on, NFL Network, CBS Sports, all of that. I mean, What are you looking forward to for the rest of the season here, Keith?
I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what like the market reaction is to this thing, and to see what kind of legs it has past like the first month of like the league. Because there's the novelty of it. I think it'll carry a lot longer than maybe I originally thought it would. Just because of like what
you thought it'd
on.
crash out halfway through opening weekend, if I remember.
Yeah, no. Like 5 minutes into the second quarter, like the TVs shut off. But like kind of what Roe touched on earlier, I think that people are so like over the NFL, and maybe even to a greater extent the NCAA, because again, it's kind of the same teams every year that are good and go to the Super Bowl or to the college football playoffs, or there's the issue with the concussions, and it just doesn't seem like either league gives a damn about their players. And so even though there's a lack of high end talent in the AAF, it still looks like it's going to be a fun league. Even if the on-field product doesn't look as sharp as the NFL or even the NCAA sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about, lack of high-end talent. We got Trent Richardson.
Did someone say A.A. Murray? A.A. Ron?
Christian Hackenberg? McClellan.
Hackenberg?
Yeah.
He's a first-round pick.
Zach Mettenberger?
Yeah.
Gunslingers on the AAF? What?
The old gunslinging Zach.
I feel certain
Chad
Kelly will be there before long.
Yeah,
Man.
So I mean,
well, that's the thing. Chad Kelly actually accidentally wandered into an AAF practice and sat down on the bench next to the rest of the team.
Somebody started talking to him.
He's breaking into the league, man.
I mean, as long as you guys are just trash in Tennessee for no reason, I think we're in good hands.
Amen.
Amen, dude.
Amen. All right, Ro, how about you as far as the league? What are your expectations? What are your hopes and dreams moving forward?
All right. I mean, my hopes and dreams is to watch my mighty Atlanta Legends go to what they announced this on Friday. Think about this, guys. They started this league with no real direction. Then you have a title game title. They didn't even have a name for it. And on Friday, after a couple of weeks, they're like, maybe we should put a name on this thing. So I read an article just about 5 minutes ago that says, the Alliance of American Football has announced Friday that this championship game in Las Vegas, that's sparkly, if you ask me, which is what you need in championship football. It's going to be called the Alliance Championship. I am looking forward to seeing myself and my 4 friends right now going to Las Vegas for a nice little weekend getaway to watch a couple of great football players just go head to head. I'm predicting probably Atlanta versus Arizona. Why not for the championship game? So that's definitely what I'm most looking forward to, and to just get to know my favorite players a lot better, like Young Ho Koo. I'm really looking forward to watch him develop. I'm looking forward to just
former Chargers kicker Young Ho Koo.
I also am looking forward to Matt Sims play a lot. Denard Robertson. I mean, I'm in it. I'm really committed to this, and to just flaunt my starter jacket on fleek.
That's mostly it. I was gonna say you're just looking for chances to rock that starter jacket.
I mean, if we're honest, let's come on.
All right, Chandler, how about you? Your hopes and dreams as the season goes on. What do you want to see out of this league, or what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I just think the neat thing about it is that you have something like you guys have said. It's not the NFL. It's not the NCAA, but they're also being smart about it. They're not competing with the NFL or the NCAA. You know, it's not. This is not an alternative to college football. It's not an alternative to SEC football. It's not an alternative to the Super Bowl. It's just, hey, this is just more football. And I also think that it's neat how they're not just showing up in small market places to say, hey, just come watch this minor league football team. It seems like they're making a concerted effort for, let's get some Alabama greats in Birmingham. Let's get some Ole Miss greats in Memphis. Let's get some guys who kind of some Pac-12 greats out there in Arizona and San Diego.
Yeah, especially Arizona and Arizona State former players. They did definitely. That's a point that I'm glad you brought up. They definitely tried to have a regional focus on their rosters as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in Birmingham who love Trent Richardson when he played at Alabama, and that now they have the chance to go see him play in town. So I think that's a really neat thing, and I think it's going to have some degree of appeal for a while, because if you think back, we haven't really seen a competing pro football league since the XFL.
Woo!
Right, and the XFL basically advertised itself as like real life NFL blitz. It's like no late hits, and we've got this crazy thing where we throw the ball down the field and two guys go fight for it instead of a coin toss. And like the AAF just isn't being stupid.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we're going to get guys that we're going to make a concerted effort to make the game safer. We're going to try to make the game go faster. We're going to try to give you some sort of, if not accountability, some sort of access to seeing how replay calls work. And we're just trying to make it a more fan-friendly experience from top to bottom. And on top of all that, you love football. So if you have any reason to tune in to watch football, you're going to. And there's just some reasons.
Another thing to your point, Chandler, I think something that speaks to a lot of people as well, and maybe it's just me, but the thought that I was having as you were talking was like, I kind of like supporting a league that isn't about these huge contracts and stuff. Like, it's something about that where like the you only get paid what, $350,000 over 3 years or something like that.
I think it's $250 over 3 years, so it breaks down to $75 a year.
There's something to that where I'm like, man, I feel like that's really cool to me. Now, granted, I don't know if that's going to translate to the NFL. Like, maybe they could work out something where the money that they get, like sponsors, that's where they make all their millions of dollars, just from sponsorships and things like that. But I don't know. It's just something about it that appeals to me, and maybe other people too, where it's like these guys are putting it all out there to do something different, as opposed to just going through the normal routes of what we're all used to for the last 100 years.
It's like the NFL is such a business that it's annoying.
Yeah.
Even when the football kid. College football, the NCAA, they try to tell you it's not a business, but it clearly is a business. Like the AAF is just like, hey, we got some dudes, we're playing football, let's do this, and I think that's something, Joseph, I know you and I have talked about a good bit of just kind of the beauty of high school sports is that you just got kids playing because they like the sport, and that's kind of what this feels like, but with just better players. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recall ever praising high school football in my life, but I'll take that. That sounds like something I would have said. Yeah.
The AAF really should adopt that as their slogan. AAF, just sort of better than high school football.
I'm for it, dude. I'm tuning in. Let me ask you guys this, since we're all very supportive of the AAF, clearly, because this is the official AAF podcast.
Of course.
What would it take?
Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, always will be. What would it take, though? I mean, this might be a kind of a scary question to ask, but what would it take for you to not watch it, for you to hang it up in the next couple of years or whatever? What would have to happen for you to be like, nah, I'm over it?
I wouldn't be as interested if they became an official NFL like minor league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would be as interested in watching it. I would be very interested in the fact that it exists for that purpose and that there are players that can try to fight for a roster spot in that regard. But it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be as interested in watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I think trying to be a direct competition to anything, right?
Yeah.
It's Sunday night. I've got the AAF game on the computer. I've got the WWE pay-per-view on my TV. But if I'm having to choose between, the NCAA basketball tournament or an NBA, an NBA game that's not the All-Star game. If I'm having to choose between something else and this version of football, then I'm going with something else. But if they're not trying to market themselves as an alternative to anything. It's just like, hey, it's just a football league. Like
yep.
you like football, we're playing football. You've heard of some of these people, so let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Greg, what about you?
Yeah, the ad that I remember before the season started with Troy Polamalu appealing to people and telling them what the league was all about. He kept saying, this is the AAF, very emphatically. You know what I mean? And if that changed, it would lose some of that appeal that originally interested me. If it was affiliated in any way with the NFL, I don't know. I think it would lose some of that credibility a little bit. I don't know. The NFL it's just like this mega corporate monster in my mind.
Is.
Like anytime I think about it, and I would hate to see that kind of leach its way into just looking at the contrast between the two leagues, how the AAF is just this like pure, for the love of the game type of sport, which it probably isn't like that.
Or for the love of the $350,000.
Yeah. So
right.
Just in my mind, it would that would kind of take a little bit of the luster away. But man, I hope it's got legs and the brand gets better and better, and the quality of football gets better, and maybe we see some of these guys that will have breakout seasons make their way back into the league or make the league for the first time. I think for me, that's a really cool thing to watch. Look at statistical leaders and maybe interviews and say, yeah, man, I got a phone call from the LA Rams, like they contacted my agent or something like that. That'd be a really cool story to see.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, Greg, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, one of the things I think that has been unique to college basketball for such a long time has been, you watch these players come through, say Ole Miss or State, and they don't make it in the NBA, but they have these long playing careers overseas, and you're not necessarily like, oh, I'm a whatever team in the Turkish professional basketball league. I'm not a fan of that team, but you love
this.
Yeah,
that's my favorite Turkish team. Thank you.
But you
guys don't have a favorite Turkish basketball team? What's wrong with you?
But it's fun. It's fun to kind of check every now and then and see, oh, like Murphy Holloway's doing this in this league, or Zach Graham's doing this, or Charles Rhodes or Jamal, whoever it might have been. It's fun to kind of keep up with that, and this gives you kind of an opportunity to do that you don't necessarily have to be locked into every game all the time, but you can look and say, man, like I really loved watching this guy play in college, and it's so cool that he's doing whatever for Memphis or Arizona or whatever. And so it kind of gives you a way to keep up with players you enjoyed watching in college that are still playing.
Yeah. Chief Keef, what do you think you'll ever stop watching?
Also, can I point out very quickly that they're doing something right now that's going to keep me engaged, in that they are testing the camera, and it's all just coming in live on their website. And so like there's people standing directly in the camera being like, no, you got to move it this way. No, you got to move it this way. And apparently the game is actually going on as it's happening. So
yes, I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it. As far as me continuing to watch, I don't really know. I didn't watch every NCAA game this year that I could, even Florida. I didn't watch every NFL game that I could. So, I don't know. It's fun right now. I'm enjoying it. I think it'll continue to be fun. But my life's going to be a little bit weird for the next 6 months. So.
Oh yeah, there's that thing.
Cool little humble brag there. Engaged man.
And Mole Engage Man, the worst superhero.
Good luck finding a
of the
pastor to
Avengers.
officiate that
The
wedding.
worst superhero.
Yeah, every pastor we've called has said no, so it's gonna be kind of tough.
Yeah, I hate to see what kind of hack shows up for that one.
Just some dork with a beard, probably.
It's me. I'm just kidding. It was me all along.
It was me the whole time.
Is Chandler officiating your wedding? Because if so, I am out.
Man.
Pastor
Pastor Turnheel.
It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
I'm gonna come down from the rafters of the church in the mid ceremony to start a fight with Chandler to try to take over the ability to officiate the wedding.
Oh my God!
I need Chandler to basically officiate as Vince McMahon.
Yeah. I want a 2-person cage, like a shark cage around the two of you, and only one of you will leave alive. Like, that's the type of wedding that I'm planning being a part of, Keith.
Hell in a Cell wedding.
Hell in a Cell wedding planner, Row Hunter.
Yep.
Yes, dude.
With the bright future.
I'm honestly surprised that nobody in this group said that they would stop watching. And maybe that's indicative of our attitudes about the NFL and the XFL as well as the AAF. That no one would stop watching if they started including like players' nicknames on the back of their jerseys. I would welcome that with open arms, and a tear would come down my little eye because somebody, just one of you, is worthy of the title. He hate me.
Rod Smart will live forever. God bless. He hate me. God bless him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now, I am curious to see what will happen whenever the XFL itself returns, because they have talked about bringing it back as a more legitimate league in the next couple of years, and to see whether or not if the AAF, continues on and is financially able to continue where it is. Obviously, that's going to be a major issue with the XFL trying to come back, because there's no reason that we should have that many small leagues around. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I will say a couple quick things kind of in closing. I think one of the things that I'm maybe most interested in seeing as the season goes on is looking at the continuation of the player-centered development of the league. We've mentioned Troy Polamalu in terms of being one of the front office guys for the entire league. I think he's the president of player, not player relations, but something along those lines. There's Justin Tuck is he's involved somehow. I forget. I saw him doing an interview. He's like a shareholder or something in the league, but Justin Tuck is involved. There's several former NFL players, especially recently retired NFL players that are all a part of the administration side of the AAF. And I'm very curious to see what the Alliance does in terms of continuing to develop those relationships, and then how that plays into the way that they can look after their players. So I think that'll be interesting to see. And I'm going to close with just this one little random thought, because I was very curious about this to see. I was trying to. Okay, so I offhanded referenced Istanbul, Turkey-based basketball team Besiktas a few minutes ago.
It was Constantinople, but now it's Istanbul.
I mean, why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks. So I decided to see what players were currently on their roster, and instead I found one of the most amazing tidbits of strange sports information that I will give to you guys as a closing moment here. Besiktas has a retired jersey. The number 8 is retired, in honor of former NBA Team USA representative Darren Williams, who during the 2011 NBA lockout, he went over and signed a 1-year contract to play for Besiktas. Besiktas the year before had also signed Allen Iverson to a 1-year deal. So he signed one of those contracts where he would go and play for them for a year, and then as soon as the lockout ended, Darren Williams would come back to the NBA. And apparently they loved him so much being over there that including a point that he scored 50 points in a Euro Challenge tournament game, that when his 1-year contract was done, they held a goodbye ceremony and retired the number 8.
I love that.
After one season.
That is fantastic.
That's amazing, actually.
That's really cool to me, because I guess at that point in time, Williams was still he was still kind of halfway in his prime, or like on the tail end of his prime as a point guard. So
I'm also realizing as I'm watching this game that maybe it's just the resolution on my computer, but it is really hard to tell the colors of these two teams apart.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that earlier. It's weird that they're both wearing like their dark colored jerseys.
Have other teams done that this year? Or have they had like road whites and
I think they've had road whites?
Yeah, they've been road whites and home.
I guess they
solids.
thought that like kind of dark teal, almost gray, and purple were different enough, but turns out they're not.
Nope.
So, anyway.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of like the very few times now that like UCLA and USC play with their solid color jerseys, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way in terms of looking good.
Nope. No, it does not.
When your solids are the same color.
Right. And when your alternate colors are just variations
are also
on the same color.
Yeah.
Bright yellow versus a old gold. Yeah, it doesn't really work out very well.
This is the two Spider-Man pointing at each other meme.
this is absolutely it. And I could think of a no more perfect way to wrap up this episode than with a two Spider-Man pointing at each other meme reference. So thank you, Keith, for that. You get a gold star for tonight's participation.
I have been trying to figure out who this guy is performing at halftime for the NBA All-Star Game, and I have no idea. Does anyone have any clue? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
they never made it as wise men.
It's Nickelback. That's Chad Kroger right there. Yep.
They've really aged poorly.
Wow. All right, that's going to wrap up Running Up the Clock, the official podcast of the AAF. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. For Keith, for Roe, for our special guest friend of the program, Gray Barnes, and for ROTC co-founder, Bumblebee Kaplarkins, we want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Joseph
and for
Craven.
Jules.
I'm here for Jules!